Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Borough, the FAU podcast for and by fans, brought to you by FAUOutstairs.com. My name is Dan. I'm joined as always by Jack and Shane. And tonight we're here to talk about, we've been away for a little bit, we're here to talk about the conference championship game, the bowl projections and the bowl selection of FAU going to the Boca Bowl, and we'll talk about the Boca Bowl, and then we'll finish up with some recruiting. So I guess the biggest thing, and we haven't been able to say this since 2007, FAU is conference champions. Conference champions. It's a great thing to be able to say for once after back-to-back 3-9 seasons, getting 10 wins. Lane Kiffin becoming the second most winningest coach at FAU in just 1 year was a pretty special ride, and we hope to finish it up with another W this week in the Boca Bowl. But we won't spend too much time on the conference championship game, just because it was, I sound like a cocky Heat fan right now, and that it just wasn't much of a game. I mean, it was something of the same how all their games were this year. FAU went out, offense showed they were dominant. In basically every capacity, it seemed. And I will say the biggest thing that was different this game, and we kind of saw a trend in this throughout the end of the year, the defensive line really just dominated the game. And it was another fun thing to watch. I mean, we got to watch a conference championship in our home stadium, and it wasn't a nail biter, and we're conference champions. So, yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. It's certainly exciting to be a conference championship again.
The thing I got the most out of it was, God, what we could have been if Caleb Woods played the whole year.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, that's what I just kept thinking. It's unfortunate what happened to him, and he came back, but he's a really explosive player. I mean, it just seemed like the last 4 or 5 games he really started getting to the swing of things. And I hope he puts enough on tape to maybe get a shot somewhere in the NFL, because he definitely has that talent. We'll talk about recruiting a little bit later, but the way him and Solomon played down the stretch was, everything we read in the spring. How good they were playing. Again, that it felt like a conference championship, but for me, it was like I felt like we'd won it since the middle of the year, especially after we beat Marshall. I mean, we played one game within 5 points, or one game that was under double digits in Conference USA, and that was the Marshall game. We needed a touchdown, and there was the whole safety thing to even make it that close late. I mean. And the thing to remember is, I want to point out, I think some FAU fans understand this if you're really paying attention. 21 of the 22 regular starters were on the roster last year.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a team that goes from 3-9, not only to winning the conference, beating most teams by 20, 25 points on a weekly basis. I mean, that's coaching. Yeah. And that's all coaching. I mean, there's a little bit, most of them, probably grew up. Step forward. There was a little bit of luck involved. Again, Lane pointed this out, starting the Conference USA Championship game. We'll start the same 5 offensive linemen every game this year, which we'll play 100 more years of football, and that'll never happen again.
Yeah, that's a miracle, having the offensive line that healthy. I think Coach Justice kind of got a wee bit snubbed when it came to the best assistant coaches in the nation with the awards at the end of the season. He definitely belongs in a conversation, at least when it comes to one of the best group of 5 assistant coaches. For the game itself, man, it was a dream come true. It didn't seem like it was as exciting as it could have been. It just goes to show how confident and how well this team is playing. Defensive line has definitely stepped up recently. What was it, 9 sacks, which was a Conference USA championship record. The passing game has looked really good. Can't say enough about Woods, the performance he had. Up in the press box, every single person but one voted for Woods for the Conference CUSA championship game. One guy voted for Motor. And he broke William Duke's record from 2011, most reception yards in a game. That game was against Louisiana Lafayette. I think that was Schnellenberger's last game. So it was a day to behold, a day I never thought would ever really come. I still can't believe it, but yeah, it's after the Marshall game, you hit the nail on the head, Shane. That's what did it. That's what brought home the championship. After that, it was all in our hands, and you couldn't really see anything or any reason why we would throw it all away. And it's all because of coaching, how this coaching has changed his team, changed his program. We're no longer making the mental mistakes that we used to. We're prepared. It's a night and day difference than what I have grown accustomed to being an FAU fan. Beautiful.
Yeah, I think we can kind of, I think we should talk about this, but perhaps we'll save it for the end of the season. But I'll touch on it now. Is that Conference USA? We can talk a little bit about the overall status of Conference USA. Was the conference down a little bit? With us.
Yeah. I think you can get a good idea that Conference USA plays 5 games on Saturday. Like 4 or 5 games. North Texas plays Troy. West Kentucky, plays a game. There's quite a few bowl games on Saturday, and I'm really curious to see how we perform in those bowl games. Because the conference was deeper this year. There's a lot of bowl teams, but was it just not as top heavy?
Or we just beat it like all average teams beating up on each other, essentially.
All mediocre, really, and everyone just beats on UTEP.
So we'll talk a little bit about that, but after all the bowls, but I mean it was exciting. Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm leaning that the conference just isn't that strong, but we'll see after these bowl games. Another thing is to point out, through all of it, and I think we're pretty much done. Knock on wood. Oh, the coaching carousel came and went, and Lane wasn't even seriously mentioned in a job, which I find interesting. Who knows if he got calls or not? But the whole after 1 year thing, well, that quickly got put to bed. Which, I definitely see he's gonna stay through next year. I think he knows he has this team. I think the math is like 16, 17 starters coming back. The entire back 7 of the defense returns every single person. I think on the first, second, and third string. Essentially the entire second. So we lose Rakeem Williams, but he hasn't been starting the last 7 games anyways. So everyone's back. All the safeties, the nickels, the linebackers. The person I want to
is he a junior?
Back, junior.
Yeah.
I can't. Rakeem Williams and Stoshak are the only seniors.
Jake Stoshak's in the preview, man.
Yeah, so we return everybody. So I think he kind of realized that, and I think he kind of wants to see what the ceiling is with this team.
Yeah, I think you make a good point that it seemed as if he was not considered at all, and I guess one of the things that is probably good for us is the amount of Twitter that he does. I think those kind of old-fashioned football is to be respected and blah 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 type of programs. They don't want that, and like he flat out says it. He's like, what do you think of people, and do you think that you using Twitter has cost you jobs? Like, well, I don't work for those people, and I think President Kelly and here at FAU will certainly be much more lenient, and I think now he sees how much fun he can have without having to be respectful of the prize that is, or the holiness of college football. He doesn't care about that. He's like, I'm gonna go have fun, and I think FAU is the place where he's able to do that.
I also just think it's the attitude down here. We appreciate him so much, and I've just heard around town. Lane's been kind of out and about, on the Ave and Boca and stuff. I think he's just kind of enjoying himself, and I mean, in so many other places, if we were going to a bowl game or if it was prime recruiting season and he was out, on a Friday night, relaxing or something, he would be shredded. Here we're just like, hey, thanks, Lane. It's just the attitude. It's South Florida. It's like, hey, this is just part of it. And I think he kind of enjoys that. He can kind of do what he wants. No one's going to care.
Plus, he said he likes to fish. He likes to go tarpon fishing. And the week of the bowl game, he was tarpon fishing with his son on like a Tuesday night. Like, come on. When are you ever going to be able to do that?
2 nights before. So. Yeah. That's the dream, man. That's the dream. And if you're able to do that with your kids, coaching this game that you love in a beautiful area like this, then what else could you ask for?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just all the time. I mean, what's anyone going to say now? I mean, any G5 job is just susceptible to have anyone leave after a couple years, unless, again, like we've talked about earlier, unless your coach is mediocre or old.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I would just love to hear some of those FIU and
what I love about the FIU fans though is if you read what they were saying before the era is, they made the better hire, and then it quickly became like they stopped arguing who's the better coach at this point. Now they're just crossing their fingers hoping he leaves.
And exactly. So they said, he's going to leave mid-season in a dumpster fire. He's going to leave you to dry. No, we always said that, well, if he leaves, then that means we won a conference championship and we get a big buyout. Well, we won the conference championship, and he's going to come back next year. And then after that, we'll probably get a buyout. So who knows? He might even go back to back. If not, we're going to go.
I hope we can
who knows?
Extend him and double the buyout. Just pay him more next year, pay all the assistants. If he does eventually leave, just get paid on the back end. All you're doing is just,
and people saying that, having too big of a buyout is going to scare away other schools. Like, please. Like, we could make the buyout $15 million, and somebody would pay it. I mean, Florida paid – the amount that they paid for Jim McElwain to come from Colorado.
Was $7 million.
Yeah, I mean, like, come on. They're not – we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, so. Colorado State got $7 million for Jim McElwain.
And that's Jim McElwain, dude.
Yeah.
On,
so we could make the buyout $10, $5, $6 million, and
yeah,
it's not gonna matter. So, and we
could make it another school's president's firstborn child needs to be given to us in a buyout, and they're like, all right, done.
Yeah, they'd sacrifice.
I mean, A&M is paying Jimbo Fisher an ungodly amount of money.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous, but they print money there. So,
all right. Well, we'll move on from the conference championship game. FAU Conference USA champions in Lane Kiffin's first year. So now we'll talk a little bit about the bowl game. FAU heading to the Boca Raton Bowl, the Cherry. What is it called? The Cherry Bundy Cherry something. Yeah. So there's I don't know. We're playing Akron. I don't think much of us, and again, cocky Heat fan talking right now. Not expecting Akron to put up much of a fight. I think the team is going to be pissed off that this is one, where we got selected, and two, the opponent that we got selected to play against. I think we're going to be running trick plays in the fourth quarter when we're up by 35 for touchdowns. Like
first quarter, I mean, James Franklin was catching touchdown passes in the first quarter against North Texas.
No, I think when the game's completely out of hand, we're still going to be scoring touchdowns. So I don't know.
I think they're going to put on a show for national television.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think initially my issue was, one, I was upset about the Boca Bowl because I was prepared to travel. I was excited to get back out on the road, be able to wear FAU stuff in another place, and kind of the benefit of bowl games, being able to share, have some sort of regional impact wherever you're going. People get the name out there. It doesn't necessarily. Who cares about butts in the seats? There's going to be, more than half the bowl games are going to have 5,000 or 6,000 people in them. So it's not necessarily about attendance. So that was one of going to the Boca Bowl. I was like, frick, man, it's gonna be a boring game. And then, okay, well, there were some projections about, and well, the initial projection of us playing Temple, I was just pissed. When people were saying, "Oh, FAU's going to play the Boca Bowl and against USF," all right, that's a quality game, but I think us playing Akron, all right, you know what? I've kind of just conceded, saying, look, I'm still upset about this, but if we go out, we get 11 wins, and we put on a show for national television, all right, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, just look at it as a showcase game to celebrate the season. Honestly, I'm not threatened by Akron. As someone tweeted out yesterday, it's the biggest bowl spread in the biggest point spread in bowl history, or known.
It's up
some
to
people
like
were
22, 23.
And a half. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, and also, I saw a lot of people out there kind of confused who to blame. Blame the conference. This is on Conference USA 100%. It's their job to put their champion in a better position. And like I said, I know some people out there want to play Florida State. I've debated. I was hugely against that. Like I said, guess what? Derwin James isn't playing in the game against Southern Miss. That game is going to be a 3-hour commercial of what Willie Taggart's going to do in the future at Florida State, and it's
Nobody's going to care about USA.
Yeah. So we're going to get a chance. Will be a game where we're going to be the main focus. It should be a decent crowd. So I look at it as just more of a showcase game. Though, I mean, just think of how fun in the storylines of FAU USF would have been, even if it was in the Boca Bowl. Mm-hmm. I mean, people would have been really into that. People would have been like, if you're an average college football fan on Tuesday night going, God, I remember watching Quentin Flowers and that USF team against UCF. Oh, and they're playing Lane Kiffin, and that I know they're high scoring, I've heard. I mean, you're sitting on your couch and you're going, this is going to be a fun, 45 to 50, come down whoever has the ball last type, back and forth game.
Yeah.
That's, like I said, I never understand. I understand why, but especially during bowl season, I don't understand why G5 programs are so obsessed with playing P5 programs, because usually those games are just against broken P5 schools. It's really rare. Only like USF gets a chance because, you're always just playing the 6-6 head coach, probably fired P5 school in a game that half their players don't want to be in. If you beat P5 teams, beat them during the regular season, and that you'll get way more props that way. Other than that, G5 should be celebrating its best schools, putting its best talent, and showcasing it. How much fun it would have been to play San Diego State, even if it was out in New Mexico, and you had Penny versus Singletary. I mean, that's a blast.
Yeah, and there's more storylines there. Now there's no storyline from FAU and Akron. Like, okay,
yeah,
Akron
they're trying.
They have players from Florida. Like, I like there's no storyline there. So I think now that's the sucky thing. But I don't know, Jack, you were gonna say something?
Well, yeah. I mean, after we beat Akron by 70 points, we look at our 11-win season. Who is the biggest win on our schedule?
Ooh.
Marshall.
Oh, well, cool! Wow, congratulations!
Yeah, we don't have a win. I mean, I guess maybe FIU, if they win this last game, they'll have 9 wins. But
wow,
we don't.
So what I'm saying is, our biggest win is going to be either Marshall or FIU. We still lost to Buffalo, a team that Akron beat, and a team that's not going bowling. We lost to who ended up being a pretty mediocre Navy team, and a Wisconsin team that had really not any business to being in the top 4 college football.
I mean, obviously those games. I mean, if we played Navy tomorrow, I think it'd be a very close game.
Oh, I think Navy
also Navy got hit by injuries a lot this year.
So I think we would beat Navy if we play them tomorrow.
Just kind of going off this, I think what's going to start to catch up with Navy a lot is I think they've played like almost a full cycle in conference, and now everyone's getting to see them every year for a long time. And then you have kids that have seen the triple options for 3, 4, 5 years in a row. So I think that's going
to
yeah, Georgia Tech. And I think what happens after a while, teams just learn how to play it.
Yeah.
As opposed to when you're an independent, you're playing a slightly different schedule every year, and you're always catching people off guard.
They're always different teams, kind of like what Army is doing right now. That's a good point. But going back to what I was saying earlier, if this is our best season ever, and our best win is either against Marshall, North Texas, or FIU, is this our ceiling? Staying at home to play the 5th best team in the MAC. I don't care if they went to the MAC championship. They're not better than Ohio, who's in the team that they upset in their division.
I wouldn't have been mad if we played Toledo.
Yes.
Toledo would have been great.
Me as well.
To pin your 2 conference championships, Toledo would have been great. They probably would have traveled. They have a really exciting quarterback. That would have been a fun, high-scoring game. Like,
you got Brian Wright as the offensive coordinator there. I mean,
he doesn't call plays.
No, I'm
not giving him that much credit.
As far as I know he doesn't call plays. I'm talking about narrative.
Yeah,
former FAU coach who's now offensive coordinator doesn't call plays. But that's the thing about the Boca Bowl is like I'm not necessarily upset about the Boca Bowl. Has the past couple of years been some fairly good teams. The Conference USA champion has been here twice, maybe 3 times. I know it was Marshall the first year, and that was supposed to be a good game. It was Marshall Conference USA champion against NIU.
It was like 2 10-win teams at the time that year.
Western Kentucky, that one, I think the year they played here was
Temple and Toledo played, and that was the year Temple had Notre Dame on game day. That was like a really good Temple team. Really Toledo won that game. I believe Toledo might have won. Their coach got hired away after that year. But,
Toledo would have been great. I would have been ecstatic about Toledo because they'd already been down here from Miami, and that would have been conference champion versus conference champion. So. I don't know. Overall, just we'll celebrate 11 wins.
Yeah, we'll celebrate 11 wins, but it's just I feel like out of all FAU fans, we're going to say the goal is to crack the top 25. If we win 70-0 against Akron next Tuesday, will we be in the top 25?
If every team between 24 and the teams getting AP votes ahead of us lose, yes.
I mean, I'm not as confident because we know how, as we're talking about with UCF, we know how these polls work. We know how they operate.
Well, you know what? Just roll into next year. You have games. You have a home game versus Air Force, who's been very good the last few years. Yeah. And then we go to UCF.
Oh, dude, I cannot.
So, hopefully both teams are, hopefully we're 2-1 at the team. Maybe they'll be 3-0. They have an early game versus North Carolina.
I'm pretty good. Oh boy.
We'll see. It's a good time. That's a really good team. They have a great quarterback, and let's not. We're looking ahead to week 4 of next year, but
rat poison.
Those are like the fun in-game states you want in-game. You want to play. You just want to play that game. That's fun.
Let me say, I don't mean to be this disrespectful to Akron. Their fans are cool. I really like what Bowden's doing with that program over there. But it's just, when we have a season like this where we are called one of the most entertaining teams in college football, where we have the running back that has scored more touchdowns than anyone else in college football this season, who's just what is it? He's 200 yards away from
2,000.
Yeah, from breaking 2,000 yards, and that's with the backup running back having over 1,000 yards, and the quarterback having 800 yards, and the third-string running back having 800 yards. This is a very explosive offense, and then this is what we get as the award is Akron, 7-6.
Well, I don't think
it's just disappointing, and I feel like we're just going to take our frustration out on Akron. Both us fans.
Well, I think people were disappointed at first, but I think there was also the other hit of with especially the seniors and we don't have many seniors, but just the older players we haven't been here before. Maybe we played in a bowl game last year and won a bowl game last year. and this was the result of this season, there might be a little bit more disappointment. But I think they're going to go out there. There's still going to be a lot of home fans. I think once kind of the game night comes, we'll be fine and we'll play.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing. I was thinking this today. I was like, I'm looking forward to seeing Akron try to keep up with Billy Ray or John Franklin.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm hoping it's a full on. I think every trick play we have, they're going to empty the playbook, and we're not going to be taking it easy. We're going to put up a lot of points. So I'm excited for that, to watch the team kind of put that up one more time. So yeah.
Also, what we kind of talked about in the last, we talked a lot about it. This is just one more chance. This is going to be probably a pretty full house. There'll probably be just a touch over 20,000 actual people there. This is a chance for you again to kind of sell your product. I know it isn't, you're just renting the stadium, but again, everyone's going to look at this as you. So when it comes to beer lines, when it comes to parking, hey, heads up, everyone's going to be trying to park at 5:30, between 5:30 and 7. It's going to be a later arriving crowds. It's Tuesday. Like, just be prepared for those things. It's going to be a later arriving crowd. So when it comes to just getting in and getting beers, be ready for it. You know what I mean? This is a commercial for you for next year to sell tickets.
Yeah. So, all right. Well then, I guess we'll kind of wrap up with some recruiting. There's been some heavy recruiting news the past couple of days. FAU's picked up a couple JUCO recruits, one defensive lineman from Orlando, but I haven't really kept much on recruiting. I see who's committed. Or I see that it seems as if FAU is now kind of leaking out some offers that previously throughout the fall you didn't see anything about offers. Now you're starting to see some players blessed to receive offer from FAU with a picture of FAU on it. So a couple quarterbacks that we've offered. But I don't know, Shane, you tend to follow recruiting a little bit more. What do you got to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to let people know they're like I put it on the board. They're gonna go heavy JUCO now. These kids, they want to try and get them on campus now. I'm not crazy about JUCO recruiting just because these kids, like I mentioned on the forum, we had 9 JUCO signing day, 4 didn't make it. That's just over 50% of making it on, and 1 enrolled early. So they're trying to get these kids on now. So hopefully they make it. This is another big weekend. Hopefully a visit list can come out. We've offered a couple 2018 quarterbacks, and a couple 2018 kids out of Texas. So, we'll see. One's currently a Memphis commit. So, we're trying.
A Memphis QB commit.
Yes, correct. So, we'll just kind of see, where it falls. No one really knows how the early signing period is going to look. A lot of people just think it's just going to be treated like the later signing period. Basically, if you're a kid and you're not signed on that day, and you were committed to a school, coaches aren't you're going to be kind of left out there. There's been rumors out there that people expect as much as 75% of prospects out there to be taken off the board after this weekend. So I think, a lot of people were thinking this weekend was just going to be like an early thing and the February date was going to be big. This is the big weekend now, which ultimately I think maybe hurts FAU a little bit. You got to think they had the conference championship game, which is an extra week, and then they have an early bowl game. So, it's tough on the coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think we'll pan out with the top class.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Jack.
I'm sorry, Dan. I think it hurts Group of 5 coaches more than others because of the coaching carousel with assistant coaches. And the early bowl games, a lot of Group of 5 teams are stuck playing. You're right. We are going to go for more JUCO guys for this class. this December, which works out perfectly. This way, by the time the springtime signing day comes about, we'll know if they're on campus or not for the spring semester, and then we will know what holes we have to fill with some high school players later on. So it's better than signing them in February, April, whatever, March, and then getting screwed by the time summer ball and fall camp opens up.
And if you look at kind of the positions we're going JUCO at, is really kind of the positions maybe of need. Wide receiver, we're losing our 2 outside starters. We'll be starting this game, Solomon and Woods. Losing Tellini and Hayden on the D-line, so they're going after a couple defensive tackles. I think they're just kind of filling those, kind of – we'll see what kind of looks like regarding to offensive linemen. I think there's some good depth along the offensive line, especially in the middle, guys that will fill in next year, but I expect them to add a JUCO offensive lineman to also kind of come in there and compete, and because we got to replace left guard, center, and right guard.
Yeah, that's right. And then the 2 high school recruits right now, they're both from the Orlando area, if I remember correctly. So
we'll see. We'll see if they turn out. I think one of them's going to end up playing O-line. But
really?
Yeah.
Franklin, Jackson.
No.
Hayes.
Hayes, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they have time with him. They could decide, but he's one of those guys that can.
I think right now he looks more like an offensive lineman.
Yeah, he's tall, man. He's like 6'6", 6'7", something of the sort. So that would make sense. But I mean, we mentioned it earlier. We're having so many players return next year. So I feel.
I don't know how many scholarships we even have. I think if you do the math on it, depending on transfers out, which hurts also with the early signing periods because a lot of kids you don't know who's going to transfer out.
Yeah.
Which I fully expect some. If you maybe have 3 or 4 kids transfer out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how many spots. I mean, I think someone reported last year that going into this year, we're maybe only looking at like 15, 16 possible spots, which is small. So they can be a little pickier.
Yeah. We'll see. It will definitely be a unique recruiting period, one that FAU has never seen before. That's probably the only thing we know for sure right now.
And I'm not worried about the class. I mean, with the you hear Lane talk about, the biggest thing he got from Saban is that he's the most dedicated recruiter. I think Lane certainly picked up on that. And I'm not worried about the class. The fact that we up until a couple days ago had 0 commits, or 1 commit, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. I think we'll probably still end up with the top class, if not top 2.
Top 2 or top 3, yeah, for sure.
So, well, I think that's about does it for us tonight. It's been a great year. Go ahead, Jack.
Dan, want to do a little plug for the basketball team. They're playing hot and playing well. 4 straight games when they've scored over 90 points. That's the first time in program history. The boys are playing well. Troutman's playing great. He's still shooting threes. Justin Massey, local kid, he's been playing great. He's putting up best 6th man of the year numbers right now. No joke. And Ron Delph averages a double-double. Team is playing ball. They're playing Arkansas State this week before playing Texas Tech and Minnesota, and then we're starting conference. They play. If we go 2 out of 3, we can make a serious push in Conference USA. And maybe not to win it, but definitely finish in the top 4. I think we'll win 3 out of those next 3 games, but it'll definitely be something to keep an eye on.
It's nice to be competitive. I wasn't, I tweeted out saying that we're doing well because we're playing Division II teams and stuff like that. But the win against Gulf Coast, I think was pretty solid. So I'm looking forward to.
It was interesting. The win against Florida Gulf Coast was huge because we're kind of getting our butts handed there in the first half.
But aren't they not? Isn't Florida Gulf Coast not what they've been? I just don't want to talk up these wins like they're in the past, and just because we were just talking about. Florida Gulf Coast has dropped 2 to Middle Tennessee already this year, and I think lost to someone else. I mean, they're already at like 5-6 losses.
Well, they still won the ASUN last year. They're not as good as that team that went all the way to the Sweet 16, but they've definitely built a championship-winning program. Middle Tennessee is probably in the top 5 of best Group of 5 teams right now, and they beat them twice. It was interesting seeing us lose to USF. I was at that game up here in Tampa. It was frustrating because Troutman only played 2 minutes in the second half, and then another game I was at the Sun Dome was what you mentioned, Shane. USF lost to FIU, and FIU killed them. It wasn't a contest. And then 2 days ago, FIU lost to North Florida. So it's going to be a very strange year in the conference.
Sounds like mid-major college basketball, right? You know,
what's going to happen, man? You never know.
All these games are college basketball, especially the mid-major. I mean, they're essentially meaningless.
To me, I look
because we could lose all of them and then get hot for a tournament, and we'll be the 16th seed.
I look at it as FAU basketball hasn't been very fun to watch the past couple of years. We're putting up 90 points a game. We're winning. I'm not going out there kind of with the same level of certainly the same level of fandom, I guess you could say, or dedication that I would be to football or baseball. But we're winning. It's fun. Having a night out at the Borough, that'll be nice. So
yeah, it's 2 hours out of your day. Basketball games are quick.
Yeah, it's fun to be just competitive. If we're competitive in conference, it shows even more that we belong. There's nothing they can say. You know what I mean? The other schools that kind of dominate in football, be good in basketball. We're pretty good at all the other smaller sports, women's softball, baseball. You know, we field competitive teams there. So it's just like, you hope to get to a point where it's like, well, you can't say anything to us. We're not hurting this in any way.
Yeah.
Dan, I know you're specifically talking to the Conference USA BBS boys right there, man. Because they would always say, if you guys don't know, on social media or whatever, it said FAU does not belong in Conference USA. They do nothing but drag us down. And we kicked everyone's ass this year. And Shane made it a point. I made it a point to go right after those people that said we don't belong.
I hope I know you're supposed to root for the conference, but I hope Florida State beats USM by 497 points.
Southern Miss on these message boards and such, they've definitely have become some of the most senile when it comes to the up-and-coming schools. FAU, FIU, UTSA, in these urban centers, they don't like this change that's happening in college sports. So they tell us that often. But now that we won Conference USA football, now they're saying, oh, well, your RPI isn't, above 150. I remember an Old Dominion fan said that right after Old Dominion. I think they got crushed. I can't remember.
I just don't get the debate of college. It's a one big league.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a one big league. Just like the question is like, what if one team just practiced for like 6 months and just says, okay, we're gonna play the conference tournament and just won that?
Yeah. It's crazy because we could be good enough to be a 2-team league. But the past 3 years, we always beat the crap out of each other. And that's what conferences do. If you're not good enough to go from January to March under conference play and kick everyone's ass, if you don't have 2 teams that are
well, that's when it just like it's the P5 versus G5. It's you'll never be a too big league because they always rather just put the 500 Vatech team in because they had a win over Kentucky in a December tournament in Hawaii.
That's
and
right.
they'll be like, "Oh, that was a great win." So
quality win.
Quality win. That was top 50. I'll be like, well, Kentucky's team was 17 at the. That's just college basketball. I'm not a huge fan of the product and how it works. It just, especially on the mid-major level, it's just the regular season is essentially meaningless.
You mean literally 17 as in years old?
Yes. It's just amazing. I mean, who saw the ending of the Western Kentucky basketball game last night? I know we're just rambling on, but that was just Big Ten refs.
Yeah.
That's a joke. Yeah, I feel bad for the Hilltoppers for once.
All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up.
There you go.
We got to go. Support your local Owls basketball team. And we'll talk to you guys next week after hopefully it should be a 85-9 score of FAU beating Akron. So thanks a lot for being with us throughout the year. We'll see you guys next week, and go Owls.